Welcome to Season 2 of Solopreneur Success Strategies. This is Jane Gardner, and we are going to be talking about home business startup. And we're going to be talking about starting, running, and growing your own home business, whether offline or on. Monday is all about mindset, of course. Tuesday is all about starting a home biz. Wednesday is about selling, sales, and your customer. Thursday is going to be about running your home biz, and Friday will be growing your home business. Saturday is all about putting systems in your business, and Sunday is all about strategy. So subscribe to this daily podcast to help you start, run, and grow your home biz. For more information, go to boahb.com. Welcome. This is Jane Gardner, and welcome to Talking About Your Customer today on how to persuade your customer to buy without having to sell. And today it's all about your Home Biz Startup TV second season, customer persuasive selling. So we have been talking about your customer and how in the old days it was all about trying to persuade with like a used car salesman and possibly lying, etc., about things in order to sell to someone. But today with the internet and being face-to-face, worldwide on the internet, it's very hard to do that kind of persuading. And of course, you don't want to do that kind of persuading in order to get someone to be your customer. As we have mentioned many times, you have to have the solution to what they need and want in order to be able to have the transaction of selling to them. So, selling isn't about forcing a person to buy from you. It's not forcing a product down anyone's throat, and especially in today's consumer market where people have more choices than ever before. Hard sell tactics should be avoided. As a salesperson or marketer, you need to demonstrate and educate. Your customer will choose your product if it's truly right for them. If you have the solution, they will buy. Demonstrating and educating someone means giving your customer all the information they need to understand what you're selling, and then all the details they personally need to know about it. This should be the purpose of your sales process. You may need to first start by educating your prospects about your general topic first. If you're selling health products, for example, you'll need to explain not just the benefits, but also how the products work to achieve their results. For any type of technological product, unless your target market consists of technology experts, you'll need to assume your prospects have no prior knowledge. Break difficult subject into more easily digestible pieces to help them understand. Make your site a go-to for information on everything related to the products you sell. For example, I've been on the internet for 3 or 4 years, and when I first started, I didn't understand a few of the terms that people were talking about on webinars. And of course, if you don't know what a webinar is, then you're even more need to learn a lot of things. But I didn't know some of the terms like upsell, downsell, wholesale, OTO, etc. And I didn't know what the heck they were talking about because I wasn't in the internet marketing world. I was in the engineering world. And over a few years, of course, you certainly find out what these terms mean. But you have to look at your product or service as something that you have to figure out that your prospect may or may not know a lot about. So they may not know anything about email marketing, for example, and you want to sell them a email marketing service. Well, all they want to know is, how will it get me more sales? If it was a local business, for example. So if you can first talk to them about how email marketing will give them more sales, then you'll be easier time to be able to explain to them what email marketing is and why they should have it. So it's important to demonstrate as well as educate. People believe what they see more than what they read. It's not enough to simply tell them what your product does. So one of the good ways to do that, of course, is to create videos that show how your product is being used. Show it in use. Explain the concepts behind what your product does in case you think they may not know that. So, for example, as I mentioned, email marketing as a service, they need to know why they should have email marketing. You can also produce videos that show the many different uses of your product, especially those that may not be obvious. So, for example, email marketing can also be used to communicate with your customers, but of course, email marketing service can also be used to sell your product or to demonstrate their products or to even send them to a sales page where they can buy the product. So, in the past, marketers have downplayed or outright lied about the weakness of their products. But as a marketer, you want your customer to make the right decision. If they buy something from you that doesn't suit them, their needs, there's a good chance they'll return it and they won't do business with you again. They're definitely not going to go and tell their friends about you, are they? So the sale becomes a wasted opportunity or even a black mark against your name. So present the advantages as well as the disadvantages of your product or service. This gives prospects a balanced picture of what it does and helps them to make the right decision. It may or may not be something they want at this time in their life, but maybe they'll want it in the future. So if you can educate them on the disadvantages as well as the advantages of your product or service, then they know all about it. And this will also engender trust. If you're willing to be honest with people about your product, it makes your customers more likely to do business with you. This doesn't mean that you have to present any disadvantages in a negative light. When talking about the pros and cons of your product or service, you can discuss how the pros outweigh the cons. Or you can explain the relative unimportance of any downsides based on your target audience's needs. The key is to address any potential objections in advance so that people can decide whether the product, with all its features, will solve their problem or fill their need. And another thing that people do say about any selling is to always talk about the benefits of your product or service to the customer rather than just listing out a bunch of features for your customer, or say on a sales page or when you're talking to them. They don't want to know that that car has a certain engine. They want to know how fast they can go. They want to know how convenient and what the mileage is for the car. They want to know whether or not it will be a good car in the snow, or whether or not it will function well on the highway in order to commute back and forth every day. So they want to know what the benefit is to them to buy a car. They don't want to know what the features are, unless they're a mechanic and they love those kind of features, and they'll want to know what the horsepower is. But as I'm not a car person, I just want to know whether or not the car will be convenient and easy to use, easy to have good mileage, and of course easy to manipulate and turn corners and accelerate and all these other kind of things. I don't really care about what the actual car is built like, because I'm not interested in that kind of thing. So you always have to consider your prospects and know who they are and what they're interested in, and make sure you always tell them what the benefits are for your product or service to them. They don't care about why you think it's so wonderful. They want to know how it's going to help them. They want to know how it's going to shorten either time, or it's going to help them with a certain problem, etc., etc. And you can imagine all these kind of issues that people have when they're buying something. So if you hadn't thought of that as a good idea before, you might consider it as a good thing to do in the future when you're looking at trying to sell to a prospect. Get yourself a website, create some videos explaining the concepts behind your business or product and service, as well as explaining what the benefits are for anyone who was to take them up on the service. And of course, it's always good to have visuals on what the benefits of your product or service is. So there's one thing you can do to be persuasive in your selling, so that people are educated because you've demonstrated what the benefits are to them as a prospect, to help them get the solution to whatever it is they want to fulfill their desire with, or they want to solve a problem. So we'll be talking further on having persuasive selling to your customer, because the customer is important and we need to know how to sell to our customer. Thank you for listening. This is Jane Gardner. Well, I hope that will give you some ideas to implement in your own business. And if you want more, go to boahb.com and subscribe.